Welcome back. Look, philosophically, your life looks different as you age, of course. But if you suffer from cataract, it could literally look different because of vision problems. Anthony Johnson explains a simple procedure that could give you back your independence. Take a look.
Fear of missing out, or FOMO, is something we often hear about with millennials. But experts say it's a real issue for the 24 million Americans suffering from cataracts. A new survey sheds light on the fear associated with cataracts.
In a recent survey by Alcon, they actually asked people with cataracts, and they found that people are really worried about missing out on things that they used to love to do. So they're worried about falling, they're worried about losing their autonomy, having to give up driving, and even losing things like seeing vibrant colors.
Since June is Cataract Awareness Month, it's the perfect time to talk about why people do not seek treatment for the disorder.
There are several barriers for why people don't seek treatment. Fear is a big one. There's also some misinformation out there, and also a lot of people just get used to having decreased vision, so they accept it as a part of aging.
Many patients don't know there is a simple medical advancement to fix cataracts and possibly restore vision.
The surgery is a straightforward outpatient procedure, and it could really return back people's vision. So they're able to drive a little bit better, they're able to see better, they're able to feel a little bit more secure in their vision.
Experts say surgery to fix cataracts can also help other vision issues, like glaucoma.
People who've worn really thick Coke bottle glasses their whole life, now all of a sudden they can actually get rid of their glasses along with improving their vision when they remove their cataracts.
For more information, visit mycataracts.com or call 1-844-MyCataract.